Yes, we're joined now by Yinusa Tanko, who is the Chairman, Inter-Party Advisory Council, as we continue our focus on, of course, political matters and others. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right, but just before we get ahead, we'd like to just bring this in. You do remember that just now, Mr. Robert Clark, SAN, did talk about Nigeria Airways and having a car. But we have comments coming through almost immediately from Yakubu Dati. He's the coordinating general manager aviation parastatals. He says, quote, "We wish to clarify that the statement that everything at the Murtala Mohammed Airport, Lagos, belongs to ARIC is not true. This clarification has become necessary to avoid misinformation to members of the public," he says. Okay. Well, let's get on with this now. The comment by INEC also underscored, no, not underscored, he corroborated the fact that for legislatures, yes, if you leave one party to the other, there could be litigation against you, but for the governors, not expressly stated. And all of this, some say, have got to do with the internal democracy of political parties. And INEC again harping on this one. Anything strange to you about all of this? You think this call should have been long overdue?
First of all, let me just share in the grief of the loss of Chief Alhaji Arishokola Alau, one of our very revered businessmen. May his soul rest in perfect peace. With regard to the issue of cross-capping, I'm the national chairman of the National Conscience Party. We were a victim of that particular process of cross-capping. We won an election in Ekiti State in 2003. Adekoya Benson. Several months after the election, the gentleman just cross-carpeted and left the party to another party. We felt pain, and we felt it's wrong. And even as the Constitution has already been stipulated, you don't have a right to leave a political party that you won the election under. It's only the Electoral Act that gives that particular semblance of ideas, okay, if you cross-carpet, if there are division. Even then, what is a division in a political party? The only recognized leaders of political party is the one recognized by INEC after the convention of the party. The leader of the party has been elected, and all. So that is the only one recognized. Anybody that goes in to say he's having a faction is not recognized by law, so he cannot claim to be authentic. So the issue of probably the division in the party that gives you right to leave your party, leave the elected position, does not arise at the first place. So for us, it's a welcome development. The issue of cross-captating should be expunged in that particular Electoral Act as quickly as possible. It creates lack of discipline. It creates lack of cohesion. It doesn't even give authentic leadership position within the party. You just can't win an election within a political party and then leave it because you feel aggrieved. There are internal mechanisms within the political party to solve any kind of problem that you may have. And besides, where you could end up is the court of law if you are aggrieved.
But how do you see this clause being amended, and how easy? Because it's the same politicians who are moving from one place to the other that are in charge of amending this law.
If we make the law stable and executed accordingly, people will stop moving from one political party to another.
Can we?
Yes, of course we can. What we try to do is that we are having meetings with the National Assembly on the Electoral Act, demanding for the expansion of that particular cross-carpeting issue. Once it is out, and then we try to impute laws that can stand the test of time. Because today you may be enjoying it, tomorrow you may not. So you have to make laws that can stand the test of time for the interest of people. Because the politicians have been looked as people, as thieves, corrupt individuals, and yet they are the one that leads. They are the one that found themselves in governance. So we must show ourselves in a very good manner that people will respect us. And that issue of cross-carpeting does not give any semblance of respect by anybody. It's in a position of trust for me to elect you. You told me that you are going to give me water. You told me you are going to give me good electricity. I now voted for you based on those two reasons. Now you now move to a political party who said it's going to talk about agriculture or housing, which was not my idea in the first place. So it's reasonable for you to trade the trust that I give to you in the first place to another political party. You understand? So that is not acceptable anywhere.
The politicians think the same way, those who are who want to amend this?
That is the reason why, when the Inter-Party Advisory Council was instituted in about 11 years ago, the political parties themselves, for the first time in the history of this country, submitted a memorandum to the International Republican Institute where we were all gathered. We worked for 16 months to develop the code of conduct. And this particular document was signed by all the political parties, not by proxy, but by the national chairman of the political party or the secretaries of the political party. That's to give it a big authority, and it was signed in presence of the chairman of the Independent Electoral Commission, Professor Atari Jega, in Mina, as regard to our code of conduct, with regard to our actions, what we say, how we act, how we behave, how we talk.
Any direct linkage to moving from one party to the other?
Of course, all of these issues were being discussed that regard to issue of cross-carpeting and even, maligning the society. When you give so much, you go out and campaign and you don't do what you campaign for.
Are they bound by this?
Of course, all of us are bound by it. What we need to do is fast-track it to ensure that the laws that are therein are adhered to. This is the discussion we had at the National Political Summit in front of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And that was the first time that after agitating for a National Political Summit, the President and the National Security Advisor and the Office of Special Advisor to the President on Interparty, we came together and we discussed about issues that concerns political party, because you are in a democratic setting.
But ever since then, 2013,
yes,
there's been a lot of cross-carpeting.
That is the reverse version. Yes, there are cross-carpeting. We have to make sure that the laws are amended, because as it is now, the laws give room for people to move. And that is the reason why we are having meetings with the National Assembly to ensure that the Electoral Act that is coming up does not give room for people to cross-carpet anyhow.
Are you also going to be ensuring that there's room for independent candidacy?
Well, at the moment now, how are we done with all the 26 political parties that we have in Nigeria and talk about independent
Because,
candidates?
some people will say that the reason why we have so many political parties, for instance, your party nearly came under extinction when this rule came out that if you do not win one seat, even if it was councillorship or something to that effect, then you cease to exist as a political party. Some people say that the reason why we have so many political parties is that the people who do not find any of the parties favorable, to what their personal aspirations are, do not think that they would even emerge as contenders. And so they just create their own political parties, so to speak. If there was room for independent candidacy, they would come forward and run as independent candidates.
The truth about it is that many of the people who are interested in contesting election have not even tried other political parties. They are only interested in, what would I use, a cooked soup. And so it's difficult for them to navigate through that particular political party A, B, or C. If you are really, really popular within your society and then the state or country in general, you have other political parties to trade your tackle and then ask. Because as it is now, even if you give room for independent candidates, the situation will be so chaotic as it were, that everybody will, if you want to trade, you want to contest election, all the 26 political parties, there's nothing in the sky that does not, each of these 26 political parties doesn't have, that you can look for.
But you just talked about popularity. So if a candidate is very popular and is willing to work hard with a small political party, so to speak, and finally gets, maybe he or she gets what he or she wants, would you say that it was the political party that helped the person?
No, it's not about the political party and the candidate. He has to work within the constitution of the political party and the what would they call it, the manifesto of the political parties.
There's a reason I ask this question. Some people have talked about how, how do we begin to measure the influence? Yes, it is the political parties we thumbprint for on the days of elections. But how much influence can we really say that a political party bears in terms of the popularity of a candidate or the likability of a candidate? Are we not also forgetting that that candidate could also have brought some merit to the political party?
Oh, definitely. Because even a political party will not want to fly a candidate that is not popular. You have to work. It's a two-way thing. The political party can be popular, and then the individual too can be popular. So when he comes into the political party, it adds strength to the political party. If, for example, my own political party or another political party who has already been on ground, it has all the structure, you can see that the candidate that is coming in is going to benefit from the political party. And if the candidate is popular, then the political party will only niche on that particular popularity of that political. So it's a two-way thing. If you want to achieve an aim in contesting the election and winning, of course you must look at those particular viability of yourself and then the political party.
So how does that recommendation take into cognizance that it's a two-way street? The recommendation that a candidate should lose his or her seat when he or she defects from a political party?
Because at the moment in which he contested under that political party. And he actually sold the manifesto of the political party to the electorate. So he has a binding contract within the political party in which he contested election. So leaving that political party will be treasonable offense on the political party and the people in which he sold the manifesto.
What happens to his own contribution?
His contributions, of course, will be within the political party in which he contested. Do you understand? And that is binded by that political party. So moving out of it, yes, let him now show his strength. He can now show his strength by moving to a political party B and moving with these people if he feel aggrieved. Then he relinquishes his positions and then contests. The popularity will not carry him to another political party.